Hey, what's up, everybody? JC here, and welcome to another Impromptu Tuesday live stream. Hope everybody is having a good evening. I see Everett is in the house, who seems quite chatty tonight. Welcome, Everett. Let's see who else is here. Damn, Everett, you are like super chatty tonight. As we wait for people to chime in here, I know these impromptu, I'm never sure if I'm going to do them and then kind of announce them at the last minute, but always appreciate you folks who do tune in. But I thought, today there seemed to be a lot to talk about, including the G.I. Joe live stream, which I actually was happy with most of the stuff that they showed. And then also just wanted to talk a little bit more about a topic of hot discussion in recent days, and that's Hasbro's new packaging style without the plastic. And then also maybe thought we would talk about all the Masters of the Universe, Masterverse figures that we have seen images for over the last week or so. And then, of course, anything else that comes up that you guys want to chat about, I'm usually open for that. We'll probably be here for an hour, hour and a half. So we got some people chiming in here. So we've got the Wolfpack toy review. Mr. All Mine is in the house. What's up? Neil, what's up? Sean, good evening. Captain Morgan, what's up? Mike is in the house. Death Watch. Action figures are great. Jerry with, yep, super surprised. Not as super, I gave you more headway this week than I did last week. I think I gave you, like, guys, 15-minute headway last week, so I gave you almost an hour heads up on this one. But yeah, it's a busy day. It's been a busy day, and it's like, I feel like, when these live streams are on Tuesday, I feel like that gives us a lot to talk about, and instead of waiting until like Thursday when it's not so fresh, I figure, what the hell. Neil wants to talk about lackluster showing at the G.I. Joe panel. I mean, yeah, could there have been more? Was there a lot of exclusives? Yeah, but I mean, hey, we got Sergeant Slaughter. I mean, that made the whole thing, in my opinion, that we are now officially getting a G.I. Joe Sergeant Slaughter figure. I mean, we kind of knew it was coming. Sarge kind of let the cat out of the bag. What was it, back in 2020 when he said he was going to be meeting with the folks at Hasbro, which you knew, what else could they be meeting about than doing a new G.I. Joe classified figure? So we kind of knew that was coming, but it's official now. Sergeant Slaughter is returning to G.I. Joe officially with a classified figure. No idea when it's going to be released or how it's going to be released or anything like that, but hopefully those details will come soon. But I was definitely pretty excited about that. I enjoyed seeing the final images for the wave with the Crimson Guard. I mean, that Crimson Guard figure is gorgeous. I can't wait to get my hands on that one. The exclusives, like the Blue Ninjas. Actually, why don't, instead of me just talking, why don't we pop over? So we can take a little closer look. So I think this is a great wave. Obviously this was first announced in their last live stream, but we've got the finalized images. That Zorana, I think, is great. And I've never been a huge fan of Dusty, but I feel like, this is a pretty solid figure. Movable hat and everything. So definitely a winner overall. This whole wave, I think, is pretty solid. But this one is the one that I've been waiting for. I've always loved the Crimson Guards. So, and I like how, like, you can have the sword, they give him a sword, which is not something we've actually gotten in an action figure of the Crimson Guard before. So the sword is the first. Why are some of these images? And I was never fond of this head. This is based on the original toy, but it's kind of cool they threw it in there. And I like the regular heads or hair, I should say. It's not a head sculpt. It's alternate hair. I thought when they were doing like they were showing the hair, I thought they were gonna start pulling out multiple hair pieces so she could like disguise herself as different people. Build up your bat army. I'm only gonna get two. I usually only army build two, but so pretty happy with those overall. But let's get down here to, and then the Target exclusives. I ended up I pre-ordered these on Target today. I always waffle back and forth with these Tiger Patrol and Python Patrol figures because we're gonna get regular versions of these guys at some point, which is what I'd rather have than the Tiger Force ones. But I don't know, they just look cool enough that I just went on and got them with the Recondo and the Bazooka, even the Cobra Officer, which out of those three is my least favorite. But the Sarge, man, I mean, that just looks like a really cool figure. And I don't know what some special accessory they were teasing. I'm not sure what that's going to be. A box within a box, I think is what they said. Now these blue ninjas, these are, I don't know if I'll get these. I don't remember there being blue ninjas. So these I might pass on. The Duke and the Ram Cycle, yeah, I don't know. Storm Shadow, I mean, I definitely like this figure, but I don't know if it's different enough to get another one. I don't know if I'm going to get all these retro figures. Yeah, I mean, there are definitely some repeats, like things like, do we really need another Snake Eyes and Timber? We just got Snake Eyes and Timber. I mean, this is probably an easy, redo for Hasbro. And of course, they're billing it as the Renegades version. But so, I mean, definitely there could have been more stuff. I will give you that. But what we saw, the new wave of with the Crimson Guard, I thought looked great, and then the Sergeant Slaughter I thought was really good. And I'm guessing they're holding back stuff that they're gonna wait and announce in June. I think June, they're gonna make a big event. And the fact that we didn't get any information like on that Dr. Mindbender figure that we've seen the images leak out for that looks like some type of special package deluxe figure. More and more I'm thinking that's going to be this year's summer convention figure. And which means there'll probably be two versions. There'll probably be a regular Dr. Mindbender figure released somewhere in the line, and then there'll be this deluxe special version that will be like a con exclusive. Whether it's San Diego or whether Hasbro's going to go the PulseCon route again this year, I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. But my feeling is that Mindbender figure is going to be a some type of con exclusive. Buffs and hoping we would see Serpentor. I mean, there are definitely characters I would love to see. So don't get me wrong. There's like a plethora of characters that I would love to have them show us, but I'm just I I see people like more and more. I see people like complaining about like, well, Hasbro needs to quit showing us stuff and putting up for pre-order stuff until they get the other stuff, the backlog of stuff released. And I get the frustration on having to wait for stuff. Nobody likes to see something that they're gonna have to wait like a year to get. But at the same time, my feeling is, while there are things out there to complain about, I don't see that as being one of them. When you know that Hasbro doesn't have a whole lot of control on these things and how they're being released because of all the delays, and then I'd rather see the stuff, you don't have to pre-order, unless it's like an exclusive that might sell out. I don't think, nobody's forcing you to pre-order these things. You can wait until they get closer to their releases, wait until it actually comes out. Like, for instance, the X-Men Bone Crusher Marvel Legend wave, okay? That had some really far off release date, right? Well, it looks like that's starting to hit stores. GameStop is starting to ship out those figures. I ordered the Siren figure today, which will be here in just a couple of days. I had not pre-ordered that wave, and because I knew I didn't really need to. And so, now that somebody's starting to get it in stock, I went on and ordered it. So, like I said, unless it's something that is likely going to be super popular or rare, like an exclusive or something, I just don't necessarily think you need to pre-order everything. I mean, it's one thing if you want to, so you don't have to worry about it, as long as you're okay with it taking, as long as you're with the mindset that, yeah, it'll come eventually. And I'm just going to sit back, and when it comes, it comes. But if you're like, oh man, it's got to come now, then I would just wait. That's my advice, is I would just wait and then see where it starts to pop up first. Because these things always pop up at various places. It's not like everybody gets these things in at the same time. I kind of chuckled when they were trying to explain the distribution issues this morning during the G.I. Joe live stream. And it was like, even before COVID, there was hardly ever a situation where everybody got everything in at the same time. It very rarely works that way. So, that's just my thoughts on that. Sean says the new Storm Shadow seems like an odd choice, I guess, for the retro line, I'm assuming. The new one hasn't released officially yet. No, I'm not sure which one I want. I don't need to. Yeah, that I agree with you there. That's like, my guess is that originally the Storm Shadow that's in the regular line was supposed to be out already. So that's probably, that's again probably due to the delay issues. But on the good side, look at it this way. If you don't want both figures, you haven't bought both figures yet. So you now have that there's two versions coming. Had the original Storm Shadow released when it was supposed to, you would already have that in hand. So even if the retro one is better, you would still already be stuck with the original one. So now you have the opportunity to make a choice. Again, if you're only going to pick one, to pick out which one is going to be the better one. So, look at it that way is what I would suggest. I'm going to probably stick with the regular one. I think that one will be out first. I don't think the retro, I may get the retro one. I pre-ordered the first wave, and originally I was only going to get Gung Ho, but I liked the card backs, and I think with the retro figures, I'm actually not going to open them. I do open most things, but some things I think where like the packaging is as much a part of the figure as anything else, I tend to keep those in package. So I may end up getting both and then just keeping the one on the card back. I got two Gung Ho, so I could open one and keep one in the packaging. I don't do that a lot these days. I used to do it all the time when I was younger, but I don't do that a lot these days. But with those, I after seeing them, I decided to go on and do that. SGF. He was cleared. What are you talking about? John says, yep, knowing me, I'm tempted to, depending on the card, Hasbro will get me again. Yep. I'll usually be the first to say, why do we need this figure with minor modifications with a different card back? Especially when like I look at Star Wars, I'll make that, and say that. But, sometimes the nostalgia gets me and I end up getting both. There's another one. You're right. Storm Shadow's coming to the 112 collective line. I want to see that one as well. Those I'm not planning on buying every single figure of. Those I'm kind of picking and choosing the ones I want the most. Like, I definitely pre-ordered the Destro figure and Snake Eyes. I did not pre-order the Roadblock figure. The classified Roadblock, the one that was the Amazon exclusive, was good enough for me. Chucky, is Slaughter out of Valiverse? I doubt it. I mean, those figures still exist. I don't collect uh Action Force. It's just not my thing. I did pre-order from Big Bad Toy Store the first Sergeant Slaughter figure that they did, which I'm still waiting on, and now I'm debating on whether I just want to cancel that pre-order. But I only pre-ordered that because I thought it would be a good stand-in for the GI, for a GI Joe classified Sergeant Slaughter. I don't really collect Action Force. It's not that I have anything against them. It's just not something that, particularly appeals to me because I've always been just a GI Joe collector. So it's not a line that I really collect. Will they do more Sergeant Slaughter figures in the Valiverse line? I don't know. Those I would suspect if I don't think it's an exclusive type deal that Hasbro has. I'd seen some people suggest that originally the Valiverse thing was supposed to be an exclusive deal. And I don't know if that was ever supposed to be the case, but obviously it wasn't for whatever reason, since Hasbro's now doing it. So I would, again, this is just a guess on my part, but I would think if Valiverse wants to pay Sergeant Slaughter to do yet another figure, we've already gotten two. They've already done two Sergeant Slaughter figures in the Valiverse. So if they wanted to do another one, my guess is they probably could. Now that Hasbro's doing their own Sergeant Slaughter, is it going to be cost effective for Valiverse to do another one? I have no idea. So I can't really answer that question, but technically, there's the Valiverse Action Force figures, and if you collect the Action Force lines, then you've got two choices at the very least. There could be more down the road, who knows? But it's not like those are going to be taken off the market or something. So I would say yes, he's still part of the Valiverse in some way, and now he's also part of the GI Joe universe. Though he was always part of the GI Joe universe to me, no matter what. He's also part of the WWE. I mean, Mattel's still doing WWE figures. And I think Sergeant Slaughter has control of his own licensing. So that's why my guess is Sergeant's going to milk it for all it's worth. He's going to make as much money from these action figures and as many companies that want to do figures of him. My guess is as long as they're willing to pay him, my guess is he'll let them. No Zemo in stores. Walgreens. Well, Zemo went up again on Walgreens' website yesterday, and in fact, I actually was going to bring this up. Um, Pop over to Walgreens. So Quasar was up yesterday, and I know Quasar you could, at least for a while, purchase it because I tested it and added it to my cart and it let me. The Zemo I saw yesterday evening and it was indicating that it was in stock, but then when you click on it, it tells you it's not available, which would suggest it's actually sold out. I'm amazed that it's still indicating you can add it to the cart here this long after it's, I guess, sold out yesterday. But the Quasar, which again is now telling you can't add it to the cart, was at least for a while yesterday available. So, but I think Zemo might have been available yesterday at some point, even if it was for a short time. Now, I'm waiting for a Jigsaw. I have all the current. I'm caught up on Walgreens exclusive Marvel Legends. I'm waiting for a Jigsaw to hit the Walgreens website. I'm hearing places overseas are going to start shipping it on the 30th of this month. So I don't know if that means Walgreens will also be getting it fairly soon. But I keep checking on a daily basis just to see if Jigsaw ends up popping up there, because I imagine it will. If not like in the immediate future than, maybe within the next month or so. Mike says the new Marvel Legend packaging is trash. So, nice segue into another topic of discussion I wanted to hit today. So, last week and on multiple Facebook discussions and so on, I explained to people that, the Marvel Legends Spider-Man packaging that they showed last week during the live stream, these were primarily online fan channel exclusive figures, so I didn't think a window really mattered. That's why these didn't have windows. But I felt like with the regular mainstream stuff that those would have some type of window, possibly like the Transformers figures where you've got the window still so that you can see it. No plastic, but you have the window. But then I started listening to some of the interviews they were doing this week, that Marvel Legend brand team interviews that they were doing this week, doing the rounds with their, YouTube influencers. And, people were asking them questions about the packaging, and they seemed to be indicating that, starting next year, almost all Marvel Legends are going to go to this windowless type packaging. And I'm kind of flabbergasted at that they would do that. And just listening to them in these interviews, try and explain, they know that people do not, a lot of people don't like this new packaging. And I think for legitimate reasons, because, if you can't see inside the box, you don't know what you're getting. And, figure swappers are going to have, they're going to swap this stuff out, and no one's going to know until you get home and open it up and see it's not the correct figure. I'm not even, I also think that people that, complain that they want to be able to look at the quality control of the figure, that to me, I mean, this has really almost no bearing for me, because I buy 95% of my action figures these days online. I very rarely buy at a physical store anymore. And even when I do buy one, usually there's only like one or two of the figures, so it's not like I have a huge selection to choose from. But I've never been that person that like sits there and goes through every figure that's on the peg looking for the most perfect one. I mean, if there's something truly super glaring that's off with the figure, then, I might not get it. But otherwise, generally, I'm just not that picky. I'm not putting down anyone who is. You're spending the money. I understand that you want something that's as close to perfection as you can get. But for me personally, I've never been that type of person. So, and again, I buy 95% of my action figures online today. So, and I open my stuff. So, I open it, I throw it in the trash. It would be cooler, as I've said before, if they put some really cool artwork on these windowless packages. But at the end of the day, I don't have room to display all the action figures and all the packaging. So it's probably better that it doesn't look that great, because again, it makes it easier for me just to throw it in the trash and not have to worry about it. So for me personally, the packaging does not bother me that much. But again, I understand those who do still go out to the physical stores and are worried about, the figure swappers swapping stuff out, or also just wanting to be able to check it for quality control issues, and things like crooked eyes or just paint blemishes or somewhere on the figure. And again, I was listening to some of the like in one of the interviews that I listened to, Dwight started talking about the real scan technology and how that is somehow going to make all their figures, figures that are done and produced, hundreds of thousands of figures that are produced at factories overseas. There's no way that every one of those figures are going to come out perfect. It's just not realistic. So, and so it is not super uncommon to come across a figure that maybe has some type of paint blemish, or the eyes are painted crooked, or something along those lines. So, I don't think, while Hasbro's facial scan technology is great, and I think they do an awesome job with the likenesses, especially with movie characters, far better than other companies like McFarlane Toys. I mean, McFarlane Toys, while they're great with detail, they're great with monsters, they're that kind of thing. They're horrible with face likenesses. They're lucky if their movie figures look anything remotely like the actors. So Hasbro, in my opinion, does a far better job with that type of thing. But I don't think that negates all quality control issues from these overseas factories, and ensures that every figure that's going to arrive on the pegs is going to be perfect. So I felt like that was kind of a weird explanation to be giving when I was listening to that in one of the interviews. So to me, I feel a little bad for those guys, because I understand it's probably not their decision. They're not the ones that sat there and said, "Hey, let's get rid of all the plastic in the packaging." That is pretty clearly a directive that came down from the upper management of Hasbro, and these guys basically have no choice but to do what they're told to do. And they were told to remove the plastic from the packaging so that the company could be more environmentally friendly. And so now that's what they're doing. And now they're having to go out and try and explain it and try and make you think it's a good thing when it's not a good thing. From at least the standpoint of your own personal needs. I will totally admit that getting rid of plastic is good for the environment. From an environmental standpoint, I think what Hasbro's doing is a good thing. And the reason why is because most people throw out their packaging. It ends up in the landfills, and having all that plastic in the landfills is not a good thing. But from the consumer standpoint of, not being able to get the figure they want, ending up buying a figure that's been swapped out, or a figure that does not have the best quality, on the off chance, it's not fair to them to have to take on the burden of that risk, in my opinion. And going back to those interviews, I was like listening, and they were like, "Well, and if you buy online, it's not really an issue." And it 100% correct there. But if you want people to buy, if you want most people to switch to buying your products online and not going to the physical stores like Walmart and Target, first of all, I would say I'm all for that. Let's motivate people to actually buy online. Let's motivate people to support the small e-tailers that specialize in action figures, not the big box retailers that, don't. So I would be all for that, but that's not really Hasbro's track record. And it's hard to believe that that's what Hasbro would really want, because they are, if you quit buying from Target and Walmart, that's their biggest customer, and that would probably not be good for them. So, they were kind of like saying, "Oh, well, people, can just buy online and not, have to worry about it." And I'm like, yeah, that'd be great. But, then quit giving all these stores the exclusives to take them into the store to buy the stuff. Quit having Target and Walmart be the first place to get the stuff in stock. Let the small e-tailers get the stuff first, and let them have the store exclusives and things like that, so that we can actually get them and order them online. Again, I'd be all for, basically promoting buying online as opposed to going into physical big box retailers. But I don't feel like that's really what Hasbro wants. Chuck, how many years has Hasbro been 1999? I don't, off the top of my head, know the exact number, but I know it's got to have been at least 3 or 4 years, maybe even 5. Could even be a little bit longer, but it's been, I don't even remember what the price was before it was 1999. So 6-inch figures have been at that $20 price point for as long as I can, easily remember off the top of my head. Austin, no mention. That's because they haven't, they're not ready to show off what G.I. Joe packaging might end up looking like. So, they're not going to bring that up in a G.I. Joe live stream until, and it's not like they're going to say, "We know you don't like this packaging, but here it is anyway." But, until they're ready to get to G.I. Joe and show off whatever packaging they're going to have, G.I. Joe brand team's not going to talk about the Marvel Legend, packaging. Yes, Toy Biz was definitely less, but what Toy Biz was how many years ago now? I mean, I definitely remember a time when, these things were like 10, $12, but it's like comic books. I remember when comic books were, a quarter, they're $7 now. So I wish they were still only a quarter, but that's just not the case anymore. But I don't remember when Hasbro raised the price from, to 1999, and I don't even remember what the price was before it was 1999. I want to say maybe around $17, but I don't remember that for sure. Jerry says, I wonder if companies get incentives for environment friendly policy. I don't know. I think a lot of it's PR. There's a lot of pressure these days to be more environmentally friendly, which again, I think is a good thing, but I don't necessarily buy into these companies are doing it out of the goodness of their heart. They're doing it for PR. They're doing it for public pressure, possibly political pressure. I don't know. There could be tax incentives that companies are given for going environmentally friendly, and I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with that. Um, you know, uh, we're gonna put solar panels on our house because to lower our electric bill, and we get there are tax incentives for doing that. So I wouldn't be surprised if you know companies like Hasbro don't get something similar for doing things that are environmentally friendly. Will McFarlane stay with window packaging on his figures and not grab the idea of what I my guess is a lot of companies are probably sitting back and waiting to see what happens with the Hasbro stuff. Um, the next company I would see make that plunge would probably be Mattel again for PR purposes. But I feel like a lot of companies are waiting to see how it goes with the Hasbro stuff. You know, while people are complaining, are they really going to quit collecting the action figures? And while I'm sure some people might, my guess is most people will not. They will still continue to buy the stuff even as they complain about it. So, I'm sure they'll see how that impacts stuff before anybody makes the dive and follows suit. But again, I think there is definitely a push to be more environmentally friendly these days. I do think that's not a bad thing. I do think global warming is a real thing. So I know not everybody agrees with that, but I do. So I do feel like doing things like this, while small impacts, but I mean that's what it comes down to is you got to do a bunch of little things and eventually it will add up. Well, again, it's not about the plastic itself, it's where the plastic ends up. So I don't think you have to worry about Hasbro getting rid of plastic from their action figures, because you don't buy your action figure and then turn around and throw it away. You keep it, it sits on the shelf, it sits in a box, whatever. I mean, occasionally something gets thrown away, but most people throw away their packaging. It becomes garbage and then it sits in a landfill. And that's why the plastic in the packaging is bad and why it differs from the plastic in the actual action figure itself. I mean, that does bring a good question though. Say on the offhand, the packaging, everyone quit buying the figures because of the packaging. Would Hasbro reverse course and go back to plastic? I don't know. Um, Again, I find it hard to believe that many people will actually quit collecting or because of the packaging. They might not like it, they might complain about it, but how many are really going to quit buying the action figures just because of the packaging? I tend to feel like that is a small number, but it is kind of a good question. And I'm sure one that they've even contemplated themselves. If people quit buying these because of the packaging, would they reverse course and go back to the plastic? And I kind of feel like if people really did that, they would. But again, would people really do that is the bigger question. Why wouldn't Disney let them make a classic Punisher again? Martin, there have been listings, rumored listings, nothing confirmed by McFarlane, but there's been some rumored listings from, I believe, overseas wholesalers or what have you that are listing what are listed as 5-inch DC superpowers. So I know when you hear the word DC superpowers, everybody thinks back to the classic line, and I certainly can't tell you that that's not what these would be, but that's not my feeling of what they would be. I think it's just the name that they're using, and I suspect being their 5-inch figures and being what they've seen them do with other lines where they took their 7-inch figures and they shrunk them down to 5-inch to make them a little cheaper, so a little more appealing to kids. I feel like that's what they might be doing with these, but I don't know that for sure, but again, there have been some listings that suggest that there are 5-inch DC superpower figures coming, and what exactly those will be, well, I really don't know. What's up, Henry G? What's up? I mean, Chuck, I'll tell you, if you really don't like something, if you buy, I think we talked about this maybe last week. If something, whether it's the price, whether it's the packaging, whether it's the quality, if you're unhappy with what you're buying, I think you should quit collecting, regardless of what that does for, what Hasbro does in response to that, if everyone were to follow suit. But I don't get why some people that seem so unhappy with everything that like Hasbro puts out, yet they seem to still be collecting their stuff. That to me is just, I don't get it. If you don't like, unless you're like a raving masochist, if you don't like it, if it doesn't bring you happiness, quit buying it. There's probably a lot better things out there you could spend your money on. So, you know, I 100% agree. If you don't like it for whatever reason, don't buy it. Raymond says he actually keeps his cardboard classified. I mean, if I don't open I mean, you can see behind me, and a rare few, like there's a few boxes up there behind me on that shelf that are empty, like the Alex Ross figures. I kept those, even though I opened the figures. But I generally, if I open the figure, I throw the boxes out. Now, there's some Transformer packaging I have displayed around here that I love the art. Like I have Omega Supreme, the box for that one in front of me here, and the Predaking over here. So I really dug a lot of the art that Hasbro had been doing for Transformers. And so I have some of those boxes displayed. But again, I don't have the room to save it all. I barely have the room for the figures themselves. So if I open it, usually the packaging goes in the garbage. I'll be watching, Michael. Not sure what to expect, but I'll definitely be checking out the next episode of Moon Knight. Watcher says he's almost at the point where he's not buying Hasbro figures. He's picking and choosing. Well, I'm definitely at the point where I pick and choose. Now, I still buy quite a few Hasbro figures because I love the G.I. Joe classified line, and I pick up certain Star Wars figures, and I pick up certain Marvel Legend figures. I definitely don't pick up everything, though. Just, for somebody who collects multiple lines, there's just too much stuff that comes out. Even if prices weren't going up, even if packaging wasn't an issue, there's just so much stuff that comes out these days that, I don't know how anybody has the space and maybe even the money to collect everything, especially, again, if you're collecting multiple lines. So, um, I, I would say, you know, I probably collect less Hasbro stuff, at least recently, than I have like in years past, but I still probably buy a fair amount of Hasbro stuff. So GI Joe Classified, I do almost buy every figure, but like I doubt I'm gonna get that Snake Eyes and Timber that they showed off today. I don't I have a good Timber, I have a good Snake Eyes. I don't need another one, so I probably will not get that one. I'm debating on whether I get those Blue Ninjas. I don't even remember where those are from, so those I might pass on. But I do still buy most of the GI Joe Classified, and then Marvel Legends. It's hit or miss. I ended up getting the Thor for the new Thor Love and Thunder wave. I got Thor, the Armored Thor, and the Jane Foster, and I did end up picking up the Kristen Bale figure. And the Valkyrie. I went on and got the Valkyrie figure. I wasn't going to get Valkyrie, but then I was like, I actually kind of like this one better than the previous one. So even though I think there might be a deluxe Valkyrie figure coming, so I don't know, but I ended up getting that one as well. But I didn't get the Star-Lord figure. I didn't get the Groot figure. I didn't really feel a need to get another one of those. I didn't really like the Star-Lord figure. I felt like that Star-Lord was the weakest Star-Lord that they've done since the line started. And so and I think like in the new X-Men Bone Crusher wave, which again, you know, like GameStop is starting to get in stock now. So far, the only figure I've gotten in that wave is the Siren figure, which I wanted for my X-Force team. But I would mind the Bone Crusher figure itself, but I don't know if it's worth. I don't have a strong desire to get all the figures in that wave, so I may pass on that. I don't know. Yes, Master Magnetism. I am collecting the Thundercats Ultimates. Waiting for actually my Wave 2 figures with Tigra and Mumra the Everlasting just came into stock at Big Bad Toy Store today. So I'm excited for that. It should be shipping out soon. So I am happy for that. I want Jatara so that I can have all the original team. I don't know, you know, if I have all the main mutants and I have all the main Thundercats, at that point I might start getting a little more choosier on which ones I pick up, but I mean, I've been waiting to fill out an entire team of the original Thundercats since, you know, like the Bandai days. So, you know, this is like as close as I've gotten. I just need Chitara, and then I will have the entire team. Tom, do I pick up? Yes, I pick up. I've been collecting the Spawn figures, surprisingly, because I've never been super into Spawn, but I've actually been digging those. So I have been collecting those, and I get some of the DC multiverse, mostly the non alternate universe Batman stuff. You know, I get all the main like Justice League type characters, um, and you know, I have like a Batman and Superman, and I have Robin and things like that. But you know, like the death metal stuff, I don't collect and stuff. So, but yes, I do buy a number of those. That's it. I don't really collect anything else from McFarlane right now. Um, the Mortal Kombat line, I got like the first two figures with Sub-Zero and Scorpion, but I never really ended up getting into that line, so I have not been collecting that one. Um, Other than the Spawn, I do have the Spawn figure, and I'll probably get that Commando Spawn figure, but but yeah, that's about it from McFarlane. Clay, what did I get? I have not pre-ordered any of the Spider-Man stuff yet. I definitely am going to get the Iron Spider figure, but again, that's one of those where I don't feel like I really need to pre-order it. So I do plan on getting that one, but I haven't pre-ordered it. I did not get the Spider-Man Nord figure from Target. I could have, but I decided to hold off. If it comes available again, I might get it. Um, but I've not pre-ordered any of that stuff because most of that stuff, again, I don't think is going to be super hard to get. And like I picked up the other day at Target, I picked up that new Doctor Strange figure, the Target exclusive one. I was kind of on the wall with that one, but I did end up picking that one up. You know, the Defender's outfit. I like the outfit, and I like the, you know, the magic effect piece that it came with. So, and I got King Grayskull. I found King Grayskull at Target the other day, so I was pretty happy with that. I collect a lot of the Masters of the Universe stuff, the Origins and the Masterverse stuff. But yeah, Monkeyin's a nice figure. The Slythe figure is gorgeous from Super 7. Yeah, they've really been doing it. I mean, they've been super slow, but I gotta give them credit that they've been giving us some pretty good figures in the Thundercats line. I have Peacemaker. I didn't get Bloodsport. Am I gonna get the 40th anniversary He-Man? Probably. But I I haven't decided if I'm waiting to. I was not like I was pretty excited about that figure when the initial images dropped of it, but then when those additional images dropped last week, that wash on him, I don't know, it just looks off to me. So I'm hoping that's something that maybe Mattel tweaks before the final release. But I mean, I think overall it's a pretty good figure, so I will probably get it. But like I've been debating on whether to get the Barbarian Skeletor and the Viking He-Man. Um, so I don't know if I'll get those. I got Merman. Merman should be here soon. I got that from Big Bad Toy Store. Still waiting to get the second Tila figure. I'll get the Zodak figure. I'll get the Beastman figure. I'll get the Hordak and the She-Ra figures. Almost definitely. Probably the Katra figure. So Austin, why do folks hate on the Super? I don't know. I don't hate on it. I didn't think their articulation was too bad. They're not quite Marvel Legends, but most figures aren't when it comes to articulation. Jerry says Sly's too green. Really, man? I thought that figure was. I love that figure. That figure to me is just gorgeous. I don't know. I think that's I think that one's far more popular than the first Tila they did. So I think everyone's trying to get that one. A deluxe Odin with throne would have been cool. Would have been better than just the regular Odin that we got. But oh, so we covered packaging for Marvel Legends. GI Joe Classified. GI Joe Classified, I think, is probably the line I am most excited about these days. Um, though it is painful with how long it takes for the figures to come out. I mean, I'm still waiting on Spirit, Storm Shadow, and the Cobra Officer. But I wrote that's probably my favorite line right now to collect. I think. Now, of course, I'm a pretty big GI Joe fan in general, so and probably surprisingly, Masters of the Universe has become some of my more favorite collectibles recently, just because. And I say surprisingly because I actually never collected the original He-Man figures, so why? Well, why are reaction figure lines so expensive? Because they're a small company, and I mean, there's those are still cheaper than their 7-inch figures, but everything Super Sevens makes is going to be more expensive than when you compare it to a larger company because they have to pay the licensing fees, they have to pay larger factory fees than the larger companies do. So that's basically why. I don't really think those reaction figures are worth the price. I'm not saying that, Super 7's overcharging or price gouging, but I find it is hard for me to, spend that kind of money on a 4-inch, 5 points of articulated figure. So I don't really collect those. I got a couple of the G.I. Joe ones, but that's really it. Of course, I don't really collect the Hasbro ones that are like that are only $10. So it's just, I'm not that interested in collecting figures that only have 5 points of articulation. I understand why companies do it because it's cheaper, just like why why Funko does Funko Pop figures, because they're cheap and people will buy them. But for me personally, they just don't do a whole lot for me. Austin, why isn't Toy Amigos invited me on yet? I didn't know they invited anyone on. Honestly, I don't really watch those guys that often, so I don't really go around making guest appearances. Not saying that people are like knocking down my door, but it's just not really what I do. I barely have time to come on here and talk to you guys. So between running the websites and everything, I am not just like sitting around waiting for people to invite me onto a YouTube channel. So I couldn't answer that. You'd have to ask them. But at the same time, even if somebody did ask me, it would be hard to kind of fit it in. I'd rather sit here and talk to you guys on my own channel than do it on another channel. And that's not to slight any other channels out there. It's just, again, time constraints only allow me to do so much. Rashid buys those are kind of cool. I mean, again, not really my thing personally, and those tend to be more pricey, but I have like, we'll post about those on the sites and I'll be like, that actually looks kind of cool. So, um, yeah, I mean, if you enjoy them, I think that's cool. They're scared. I doubt they're scared. I work with, reviewers, have them post their stuff on the sites, but I'm not, a lot of those guys all live in the same areas, like out in California and stuff. So, they tend to hang out with each other. They're also younger, I would say. I'm an old fart, so Vex says he highly recommend the Skeletor and the He-Man. I'm like, one minute I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get them, and then I'm like, nah. Like I have my shelf back there with all the Masterverse stuff, so I wouldn't put them on that shelf because I don't want to have like two Skeletors and two He-Mans on the shelf. But if I got them, I'd probably find another shelf for them or something. Like most of the other new Eternia figures that they've been showing, I think will fit in nicely with, the Beastman, the Zodak, the Skeletor, or the She-Ra, the Hordak. Those I think, even though they're technically labeled as new Eternia, I think they'll fit in nicely. But I mean, they look good. I just don't know where I would put them. Chuck, thank you very much for the super chat donation. Always much appreciated. Any plans for toy factories to come to the USA? Not that I've heard of, but that doesn't mean it wouldn't happen. But nothing I've heard about. Speaking of super chat donations, and this isn't really a plug for you to donate to the channel, but I just wanted to tout that YouTube finally gave me the option to add, I think it's called thanks, on my regular YouTube videos. Like, I'd been seeing this option pop up on people's channels forever now, and I'm like, why did that guy get that? And like, I would click on my thing to see if I had access to it, and it'd be like, you don't have access to that yet. And I'm like, what the heck? I've been doing, I've got more subscribers than this guy, and I've been doing more videos than this guy. Why haven't I gotten that option? So I finally was granted that option by YouTube, so that if you are so inclined, and I'm not implying that you need to or have to, but if you were so inclined and you wanted to make a donation on a regular video or what have you, there's now that option. So I was just excited that I finally was given that opportunity, even if I don't really expect a lot of people to take advantage of it, just because I was like, why is my channel being excluded? Yeah, that Beastman figure looks really nice. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to use like the fur coat thing, but just as a classic beast, that Beastman, that figure definitely is one I'm going to pick up. Better, I like that one better than the Revelation Beastman that we got. So I will, when that one comes out, I will replace the Beastman that's over there now, the Revelation one, with the new Eternia one. I just got actually easier to, this just arrived in the mail yesterday from Holathon. I ordered the Black Noir figure from the boys. I ordered that animated series Toka and Razar figure and the autograph version of Fugitoid, and they canceled both the turtle Fugitoid and the animated series Toka and Razar, saying they oversold them. And so this was the only thing I ended up getting from Holathon, but I got the other two figures from the boys that NECA did, so I decided to go in and get this one. Will I do a live stream on Thursday? Most likely, Michael. I won't say 100%, but yes, likely same time at 7 p.m. Well, same time as usual on Thursday, 7 p.m. Unless something happens, then I would say yes. $3M. Yes, I mean that's generally the argument for going overseas, is it's cheaper to make stuff overseas. Therefore, it allows them to release the stuff cheaper. So you're right. If they brought their manufacturing back into in-house to the US, that would probably raise prices more, at least under the current structures. And I'm not an expert on that, so Austin, yeah, I was kind of the autographed Fugitoid. I was kind of pretty half expecting that they would cancel and not deliver, but I was pretty pissed, especially since they didn't actually put that on Target's website. That Toka animated series Toka and Razor, they never put on the Target website. So the only way you were able to get it was off of the Holathon website. And so I was kind of pissed that they canceled that one. There are some leaked lists floating around out there. I haven't reported about them yet. I'm still trying to get like additional verification, but like Deadshot, I've seen like supposed to be a Deadshot figure coming, and a Hush version of Superman. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head the figures I saw listed. But yeah, there are some leaked listings that are floating around out there. Now, like one of the figures I saw on the list was a Static Shock Michael um, movie figure. So like there is supposed to be a Static Shock movie coming to HBO Max, but I mean I don't even think that figure or that movie's gone into production. So it's I think it's being produced by Michael B. Jordan, but I saw, or it might even be starring him. I forget, but I saw like that figure was listed a Michael B. Jordan version of Static Shock, and I was like, really? That seems like, being that I don't even think the movie's gone into production, that seems kind of weird that they would already have a listing of a figure for it. So that's why, I try my best to verify things from multiple sources before I talk about it in the news. I'm not always, sometimes I will forego the extra verification, but to me, it's not always important to be first to report something. It's better to be accurate. So, but yeah, there's definitely some lists floating around right now for upcoming McFarlane stuff. Yep, I heard they're doing a Wonder Twins movie. Yeah, no, I know. As far as the Deadshot figure, I assume it's going to be a comic book based one. I definitely don't see them doing a Will Smith Suicide Squad Deadshot figure. So, and how you can really do Deadshot without any guns, I have no idea. But there is at least a rumor that there's a Deadshot figure coming. Yeah, I comic classic Wonder Woman is definitely needed. I have unfortunately not seen that figure listed, so but yeah, I agree. That's like I've almost got a DC Multiverse McFarlane Justice League team, comic book based team completed, but definitely need. I mean, the movie one can kind of work, but I definitely feel like we need a good classic comic book Wonder Woman figure to come in the line pretty soon. I have I forget if it's SH figure. I think it's the SH figure. It's Deadshot Will Smith Deadshot figure, which wasn't too bad of a figure, but I can't say I'm really that super interested. Setting Will Smith aside and where his reputation is right now, I guess just overall, it's not like we're gonna see Will Smith Deadshot ever again on the screen. So I can't say I really that excited for a figure of him, but I really don't think, especially since McFarlane doesn't do a ton of movie stuff unless it's a movie that's coming out. My guess is it's a comic book based one, assuming it's true, which again I have not completely verified. I actually I kind of like that the variant Todd McFarlane designed Wonder Woman figure, like the gold label one, not the regular one. I kind of like that one, but I still that's not a good stand-in for a regular uh classic Wonder Woman. Yeah, we get like what, one animated series figure a year. I mean, it's going to be forever, if ever, that they're going to be able to round out those teams. That's why I haven't really even bothered to collect those because I don't have a lot of confidence that they would ever finish out the team. Same thing with like the CW stuff. We got Flash and Green Arrow, but it's going to we get those types of figures so infrequently. It's hardly worth trying to collect those. Everett, I don't know because I don't actually have the Mattel Batmobile. I did get the McFarlane one, so I can't tell you which one's better. Oh, Bill, thanks for Kyle Rayner, the Blackest Night figure. So we saw the Build a figure, a preview image for that today. It's over on TNI if you haven't seen it already, but just to let you guys know that wave is going up for pre-order tomorrow. Should be up online around 9 a.m. Eastern time. So keep an eye out for that. But that's the wave with the Batman, the Superman, the Deathstorm, and the Kyle Rayner uh, Green Lantern. So, and we should get better looks at all those figures. And I'm hoping that the Kyle Rayner looks a little better than it did in that one preview image they released. I did not really like the way the face looked on that. So I'm hoping that, when we get the new images, it'll look a little bit better. But I definitely want to get Kyle Rayner. He's one of my favorite Green Lanterns. So like, I did not get the Black Adam figure that came out from the Endless Winter line. I did not like the way that one looked, and I didn't like that he didn't have the cape. So I ended up passing on that one. I think we're going to end up getting more Black Adam figures. So I'm hoping we get one that comes out looking a little better, because that Endless Winter one did not impress me too much. Well, he's talked about doing a generic weapons pack, so I think that's certainly a possibility. I don't know what the cost will be, and it'll probably just be offered online, but not technically DC related, but just a generic weapons pack. I mean, for me, I have plenty of just generalized weapon accessories lying around from all the various figures I've collected over the years. So if I need to give my figure a gun, as long as he has a grip hand, it's not really that hard, for me to dig one out. It's the more specialized weapons for some of these characters when it comes to like DC that, Deadshot or Peacemaker or some of the others that I'm like, yeah, it would be nice if we could get some guns with those figures. So I don't know if I'd get a weapons pack, but definitely I think that's something that he's considering doing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I feel like if it had the cape, it would be better, but I don't know. It just looked off to me. All right, well, it's getting late. It's after 7, so I think we're going to wrap up this impromptu live stream. But as always, guys, it's much appreciated that you guys tuned in. Always appreciate it. Tomorrow probably should have a news video up, and then Thursday likely we'll have another live stream at the normal 7 p.m. time. So I know it started early today, but I gotta eat dinner and then finish up so I can watch FBI. I like the FBI shows on CBS, so I gotta finish up before those start. But as always, guys, much appreciated. Yeah, I just gotta find my little video ending. Okay. So yeah, much appreciated. Love chatting with you guys, just shooting the breeze, talking about action figures. It's always great to hear from you guys. But stay safe out there, and until next time, guys, I will catch you later. Hey, thanks for watching today's video, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification so alerted every time I upload a new video. And be sure to head over to the Toy News International and Marvelous News Message Boards communities. It's a great place to talk toys and win cool contests like $100 store credits to Big Bad Toy Store. And remember, action figures are great.